following program is brought to you in living color.
You are listening to The Liberal Grouch.
People, all going somewhere, all with their own thoughts, their own ideas, all with their own personalities.
Ever since I was a child, all I've ever wanted to be was a journalist, to write stories, to be on the radio, to be an observer of the human condition. Throughout my professional life, in radio, newspapers, and as a writer with the federal government, I've been true to the journalistic ethic of telling the truth, of being accurate, of trying to tell both sides of the story. But I've learned there are people who don't want their story told. In fact, they will do anything to keep you from telling their story. Individually, they are weak, small people who hide in the dark. But when they form a pack, they become dangerous. Not just to the individual trying to tell their story, but to the very concept of a free press. They want their side of the story told, not the full story. And when a strong, honest, progressive voice comes along, one who captures the ears of honest people, it frightens them. It makes them crazy.
Pull the string. Dance to that which one is created for.
They will do whatever they have to do by whatever means necessary to silence that voice, either through legal means or other means. The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is if good people do nothing. I choose to do something. I will stand in the face of this wolf pack of right-wing lunatics until I am either silenced by legal means or until they kill me. They will need to find either some way to throw me in jail for telling the truth, or else there will be blood on the microphone.
Yes, my friends, it's a new day in podcasting history as we move the Liberal Grouch from its previous location on Blueberry, which is primarily a WordPress application. Now that I'm on Blogger or Blogspot or whatever you want to call it, it's not really meant for that. So now we'll continue on Spreaker. You can always find this podcast on Spreaker. But I've got a new Pod-O-Matic homepage. You can find this podcast and all future podcasts I do on my new website, which is there for your listening pleasure. Liberal Grouch, that's one word, Liberal Grouch .podomatic, also one word, PODOMATIC.com. And they've got all kind of neat stuff, little widgets you can plant on your own website, little pop-up players and that sort of thing. I think you'll enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the experience because now I can broadcast in a higher quality and I'm not worried about storage space because it gives me unlimited storage space. Well, I promised you, by the way, I'm Bill Schmalfeld. Hi. If you'd like to send me a tweet, this is a pre-recorded show, so we don't run into any of the problems we had with the other show, you can send me a tweet at Grouchy Old Lib. That's at Grouchy Old Lib. And my other blogspot page is liberalgrouch.blogspot.com. I don't know if I'll be maintaining that, since the Podomatic page looks like it has some serious potential to it. My friends, I promised you some breaking news today, and here it is. At this moment, this very moment, 10:48 a.m., Monday, April 27th, 2015, my wife is on the way to the post office. Then she's going to go to the grocery store and get some stuff we need, and muffins for Daddy. Daddy likes his muffins. But I have decided, as you heard at the show opener, that evil to succeed requires that good men, good women, do nothing. And I have had just about enough of the thinking man zombie. I am filing a lawsuit in U.S. Federal District Court for the District of Maryland against Patrick G. Grady. Now, what do I have to prove in this lawsuit? Well, I'm making three basic charges. One, defamation libel per se, which means I don't need to prove damages. The fact that it was said means damages exist. False light invasion of privacy, which I'll explain in a minute, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, you may rightfully ask yourself, what sort of bar do I have to jump over here? What must I prove as the plaintiff in this case to get a conviction, well, a guilty verdict, on these three torts, as they're called? Well, let's first deal with defamation. What do I have to prove in my suit for defamation? Well, in a defamation action, the recipient of a communication, that is, Patrick Grady's readers, must understand that it is me that Grady intends to refer to in his communications. Even if the recipient, that is, his readers, believes that a communication refers to me, this belief, as long as it is reasonable, is sufficient. So, like this morning on his website, hang on here just a second. We must access the website, you see. This morning on his website, he starts it with, "Good morning, dumb fuck." So, when he got fired in the golden parenthesis shower parenthesis state in 1988, was he touching Boy Scouts in their bathing suit areas? I guess he's a big government libturd because he knows they don't have the resources to do even minimal background checks between coasts. You know, just the small town media outlets, or not, and that's already garnered 9 comments. One from the idiot Kimberlyn Unmasked, who has a picture of me that I took on vacation, by the way. This was not on the government dime, as has been libelously suggested. I was on vacation in San Diego with my son, and I bought a lucha libre mask, and I elbow dropped my mattress for a picture, back when I was still capable of doing such things in 2005. And next to it is a pink little trailer, like the kind you tow behind a car. And in his cartoonish fashion, Kimberlyn Unmasked has, "Why won't Mr. Bill answer? What really happened in the pink trailer?" What? I was on vacation with my son. I don't have a pink trailer. I live in a nice... You've seen pictures of it because Grady posted them online. I live in a nice white trailer. And then this execrable individual, Roy Schmalfelt, who claims to be my cousin when he could not possibly be my cousin because we would have smothered him in his youth. He writes, "Morning, cuz. Should we send flowers or make a memorial donation to the Parkinson's Foundation? Best to know these things in advance." Is my cousin suggesting that I'm going to be dead soon? And then Pablo, who has about as much brains as my little toe, writes, "Diddlers of a feather conspire together." So now I'm accused of child molestation? It's like these people just don't get that you cannot say or write whatever you want to say or write about somebody, even if it's not true. That person can sue you for libel. This is from a Reader 1 at 8:49 this morning. Bill's tweet is interesting as it is the excerpt from who knows where. I'm assuming he tweeted this, but that he agrees with what is stated. That means, of course, that he knows the defamed Lee Stranahan when he made you see, they go back to the same 2-year-old, 3-year-old well to justify their defamation. Lee Stranahan, in which he prostitutes his own daughter. Tell you what, you find a single episode of Lee Stranahan in which he prostitutes his daughter. There aren't any. But when you're a wingnut, what exists is what you want to exist. And then Nancy Gilley up in Groton, Connecticut writes, BS is the poster boy for cognitive dissonance or narcissism or embrace the power of and, which I don't even know what the fuck that means. What he does is always good and righteous and legal. What others do is always wrong and illegal, and it gives him butthurt. My friends, that is what we call a straw man. Once one remembers that, anything he does and says makes more sense. So if you make up a lie, believe the lie, then it is no longer a lie. Well, here's what I have to prove in order to get a judgment of defamation. The recipient of the communication must not... Did I read this already? Oh, part of it anyway. The recipient of a communication must understand that the defendant intended to refer to the plaintiff in the communication, even where the recipient mistakenly believes that a communication refers to the plaintiff. This belief, as long as it is reasonable, is sufficient. It is not necessary that the communication refer to the plaintiff by name. Oh, by the way, statute of limitations for defamation, 1 year. A defendant may publish defamatory material in the form of a story or novel that apparently refers only to fictitious characters, where a reasonable person would understand that a particular character actually refers to the plaintiff. This is true even if the author states that he or she intends the work to be fictional. So calling it parody doesn't protect you. Calling it opinion does not protect you. Grady said, I have syphilis. Is that his opinion? Has he examined me? Does he know this for a fact? I don't have syphilis. I've never had syphilis or gonorrhea or any of those other nasty things. I gave this guy every opportunity to pull his website down, but these idiots who comment on his website, they are the ones with no skin in the game. And then he has another post this morning. I haven't seen this yet, so you and I will be sharing this for the first time. The things you can learn on the internet if you know where to look. For instance, the topic of asymmetric warfare is particularly fascinating. Sun Tzu's The Art of War, The Virtue of Prudence, the Boy Scout motto, the untraceability of Bitcoin, better living through chemistry. He likes to get all cryptic like that. Well, my cousin Roy, OPSEC, sleight of hand, the weakness of certain personality types and their blind spots, pattern analysis. Projection. Colonel Victor Troll Poker, who has a picture of my wife as his avatar. The sweet mysteries of barycentric coordinates in orbital mechanics. Okay. Anything else here interesting? Or could it be that the mayoed one is really just that stupid? Pablo says, the heartbreak of psoriasis, the time of your life, the all-speed velocity of the unladen swallow. The airspeed velocity. Yeah. Well, all this talk about the untraceability of Bitcoin tells me that there's going to be a conspiracy to hide money or something. I don't know. Now, how do I get over the bar of intentional infliction of emotional distress? The tort of intentional infliction of emotional distress has 4 elements. 1, the defendant must act intentionally or recklessly. Claiming that I'm a wife beater who beats his dying wife, that's intentional, that's reckless. The defendant's conduct must be extreme and outrageous. Calling me syphilitic is pretty outrageous and extreme. And the conduct must be the cause of severe emotional distress. Let me ask you something. You have a wife dying from a condition. We'll call it scleroderma. We could just as easily call it bone cancer, but then all the hoagieites are going to get all upset that I dared mention St. Connie. No, it's perfectly all right to mock my wife because I'm evil, you see. Now, what bar must I cross to prove false light, defamation, invasion of privacy? One of several torts under the category of invasion of privacy where a defendant is accused of spreading falsehoods about a plaintiff that would be considered objectionable in the average person. This tort overlaps with defamation, where the lies spread can also be defamatory. However, the key differences of the tort of false light from defamation is that under the tort of false light, a plaintiff can receive damages for the emotional harm that he or she suffered by the spread of the falsehood. Good faith on the part of the defendant, such as the defendant didn't know what he was telling other people was a lie. Not a defense, my friend. Not a defense. Basically, what we have here is a defeated man from Palatine, Illinois, whose wife denied him his dream job. They have a disabled son, so she insisted that he get a job with benefits, a job with some stability to it, and that crushed him. It broke his spirit, and it broke his mind. He has admitted to being bipolar. He has admitted to being a functionally or a high-functioning sociopath. All I know is he's a liar who lies, who is going to be held accountable for that. Waking up, stand on my feet, slept quite well through the nightmares. In the bathroom now I look at my meds. Who needs meds when you feel so alive? Put on my tie, get ready for work. Betrayed my passion for her sake. I've lost my grip on what's real and what's not. So I fight with some schmuck on the net. It's the lie of the liar, it's the throwing of crap. I don't care that I'm being sued for libel. On the net, I'm a warrior stalking prey to defame. And my boss doesn't know about the lies of the liar. Face to face, I would get beat. So I hide in the shadows. He thinks he's smart, but he's nothing next to me. With the danger that lurks in my mind. It's the lie of the liar, it's the throwing of crap. I don't care that I'm being sued for libel. On the net, I'm a warrior stalking prey to defame. And my boss doesn't know about the lies of the liar. Going home, wife's at the door.
How's my day? What's the story?
Mumbled something to that dream-killing bitch. Going online where I feel alive. It's the lies of the liar, it's the throwing of crap. I don't care that I'm being sued for libel. On the net, I'm a warrior stalking prey to defame. And my wife doesn't know about the lies of the liar. The lies of a liar. The lies of the liar. The lies of a liar. Now we're going to get down into the weeds, and I will explain how I came to prove that Paul Krendler, the shopkeep over at Thinking Man Zombie, and Patrick Grady are one and the same. That's coming up next.
You are listening to The Liberal Grouch.
Have you seen the little hoggies crawling in the slime? Sad for all the little hoggies running out of time. Paying for your crime can lead to butt hurt. Have you seen the daddy hoggy in his nice bow ties? You will find that daddy hoggy's running out of lies, nearing his demise in profound butt hurt.
In their styles with all their shucking, they don't care what goes on around. With their lies, you see them sucking what they've got so damn good fucking.
Everywhere there's lots of hoggies with their hoggy lies. Even Hoggy's giant boy child with his chafing thighs, hoping daddy dies while he has money. One more time.
Daddy, they did a song about us.
Be quiet, you fool!
Ow.
What happens when a family of midgets lives in a rundown house filled with junk?
We gotta stop living like this.
When the health department came to inspect the house, they couldn't even get the door open.
They had boxes full of rotting pizza stacked up against the door.
Look, I still have old used Pampers from when I was a baby, and I'm 35 years old. This room we're standing in, full of old dirty Pampers. Don't cut yourself on anything, it's a death sentence.
There are little people living in a great big mess.
Even the cats won't come in anymore.
Little people, big hoarders. Tonight at 10, 9 Central, on the Learning Channel.
You are listening to The Liberal Grouch.
Welcome back. If you took a little sandwich break there or whatever, I'm Bill Schmalfelt. This is The Liberal Grouch, and I want to tell you about Audible.com. They've got a free deal going on. If you sign up, you get a 30-day free trial membership, and you get to take your choice of any of the books they have available for you, including my books, but, you don't have to limit yourself to that. So check it out, audible.com. Tell them you heard about it on The Liberal Grouch, and I'll kiss you on the lips. Now, I was going to talk about how it is I determined that Patrick Grady and Paul Krendler are one and the same. You will all recall that Paul Krendler claims he was given essays by Patrick Grady to leave as breadcrumbs for me to follow. One was an article written by Patrick Grady, by name, on November 12th, 2010, and republished on the Thinking Man Zombie blog, August 27th, 2014, by Paul Krendler. And it is basically word for word an article called Timeless Truth. That will be Exhibit A. This whole section here is Exhibit A, as a matter of fact. And then another breadcrumb. As Patrick Grady, and I'm looking at the date here. Hang on. On November 19th, 2011, he decided to dabble into the arts. Thought he'd become a writer. So on his 48 Days website, your headquarters for creating the work you love, he wrote a post called Chapter 1, and the question is, would you read it? And he posts a chapter of what looks to be some youth fiction. This same thing, almost word for word, appears July 22nd, 2014, on the Thinking Man Zombie blog. Okay, another breadcrumb. On, let's see. You have to excuse me, the eyesight's not what it used to be. Let me find the date on here. February 10th. Is that 2014? Nope. February 10th, 2011, he wrote the second chapter. The title being Chapter 2, Would You or Your Teen Keep Reading? He reprinted this almost word for word on the Thinking Man Zombie blog. And why do I make my date so small here? on July 20th, 2014, 3 years later. Now, these are the breadcrumbs that Paul Krendler says Patrick Grady gave him to scatter about the website. Because even though I'm a dumbass, I would somehow know that those were originally written by Patrick Grady, and that I would find them, being the dumbass that I am. You see, it depends on what day it is. Either I'm a dumbass or I'm a super genius. Well, it doesn't end there. There's the undying love for this Tea Party fanatic named Bill Whittle. On November 18th, 2010, I believe this was on the Gaelic Pundit website that Patrick Grady ran, an article called What I Believe, and he's got movies by this Bill Whittle. And on February 28th, 2015, the Second Amendment, What It Says and What It Means, with a movie by Bill Whittle. Now, I'm not saying that these two guys are the only people in the world who like Bill Whittle, but it's a heck of a coincidence. And it doesn't stop there. There's this admiration for this character known as Aaron Ralston. January 16th, 2010, posted by Patrick Grady. He writes about Aaron Ralston, a hiker who had a rock fall on his arm and had to use his own pocket knife to cut himself free. I didn't catch the date on this, but it's from the Timeless Truth blog. Oh, yeah, okay, the Timeless Truth. That's the first breadcrumb I was left. On August 27th, 2014, there is also the expressed man love for Aaron Ralston by Paul Krendler. So far we've got 3 blog posts that are nearly word for word, one written by Patrick Grady, the other written by Paul Krendler. Then there's this fascination with Bill Whittle, one written in 2010 by Patrick Grady, the other written in 2015 by Paul Krendler. We have this man love for Aaron Ralston, one written in 2010 by Patrick Grady, the same thing written by Paul Krendler in 2015. And why would Paul Krendler write about an account Pat Grady had with the police based on my calling the cops after a death threat? He posted this on Hogwash. He wrote, I've had something on my mind this is as Patrick Grady, by the way. I've had something on my mind the past couple of weeks, but have been much too occupied by more important things to comment about it. It occurred to me that recently that if I were on speaking terms with Bill Schmalfelt, I would ask him a question. Bill, Given that a little over a year ago you chose to dox me, you call that a doxing? Over a little comment on a blog post, the key word here is over an innocuous little comment on a blog post about how horrible your 2013 was. Jump over now to the super secret blog. The blog I was never meant to find. The blog that when I did find it was immediately scrubbed from the internet. He uses the exact same words as Paul Krendler. I'm looking, here it is. Really, he asked, I told the officer how Fat Bastardson, that's me, doxed me after I posted an innocuous comment on a particularly pathetic blog post. Now, this has to be more than a coincidence. And this next part is visual in nature, so I will post it on my blog later today. In the email between Paul Krendler and WJJ Hogue, in which, I got to pause for a minute because I see my wife just got home and I have to go help her. So it'll seem like a second to you, but for me, it'll be about 15 minutes. I'll be right back. See, now that wasn't too bad, was it? In the few seconds I was gone there, I helped my wife bring in the groceries, sat down, had lunch, and here I am back doing the podcast. You're listening to The Liberal Grouch. I'm Bill Schmalfeld. And rather than continue with that other exhibit, which, like I said, is more visual than anything else, I want to share with you what will be an exhibit in the trial. And one can see that Grady had problems with this himself, but decided to publish it anyway on his secret members-only blog. Editor's note. By the way, this is November 2nd, 2014. Editor's note. After sleeping on this, I'm still not sure if I should post it at The Thinking Man Zombie where he can see it. After his behavior yesterday, which I have no idea what he's talking about, I'm so very tempted to drop this bomb where his poor lonely iPad will jump up and bang him on the head until he looks at it. Don't worry, that's an embedded cyber biohack that will only work on his iPad. I am publishing this here for the giggity lulls of Team Good Guys, as they call themselves, thing I've written in zombie days. So, in addition to your comments, excuse me, please also give your opinion. Is this smackdown a bridge too far, or is it righteous and deserved? Should I cross-post it? I figure I'll give until the end of the Broncos-Patriots game before I make the call. Thanks and enjoy. PK for Paul Krendler. Normally, when the creepy cabin boy informs the known universe that he's crawling back under his slimy rock in surrender, vowing to move on and wishing only to be left alone, it calls for a parody in response. Not this time. Today we are fisking the ass-loving little remnant into my happy place, where in the words of the late Michael Hutchins, misspelled his name, Words are weapons sharper than knives. And I guess this is supposed to be a quote from me. Look, pal, oh, shut the fuck up. You aren't fooling anybody. I'm not your pal. No one is your pal, you utterly friendless bag of horse meat. Your wife is not your pal. She hates you for being a real-world crybaby whiner who can't take the tiniest bit of criticism like a man would. Even I don't believe the canon that you regularly beat on her. I think it's far more likely that your knee hurts because she hit you with a deadhead mallet in the night. That she runs roughshod over you is far more likely a scenario than the idea that a twice cuckolded Japanese tranny target could possess the physical strength, emotional will, or just plain sack to attempt to put a woman in her place, any place but on the internet, where you have even less influence than in real life. Your children are not, excuse me, lunch is coming back on me there. Your children are not your pals. They hate you because your parenting skills are matched only by your skills as an internet investigative journalist, satirist, comedian, which incidentally draws far more of your attention and effort than your children ever did, with the same stunning record of success. Even your internet pals are not your pals. They're handlers, you great methane bubble, and they're laughing at you while they egg you on. I know this because they tell me. Didn't you ever stop to think why it is that you dance for me so effortlessly and so often? Your own team gave me the playbook on you, and their laughter is the sweetest sound I've ever heard. Excuse me again. Now, this is a quote from me again. Just because you're a coward who hides behind the cloak of anonymity, don't assume everyone else is. If someone is pestering you and Grady because you are two different people, right? Good. Oh, you great diapered, truffle shuffling, useless excuse for a human penis. Get some Kleenex, clean the cum drops out of your eyes and ears, swallow what's in your filthy gob like always, and pay attention. You are a master of many things. Bation, for one thing, or for another, projection. You want to claim of others that it's all about the butt stuff with them, and yet all I have to do is contribute at Daily Cross. A Daily Coast is sign up and shed half my IQ points. But you're done there, you twisted fuck, because back then you were too far gone even for that army of whining puss bags. The Examiner, same deal. You can't write anything and simply accept that any of your fellow bedwetting, and I mean that in both the figurative and literal sense of the word, progressives, in the oh-so-aptly described captive audience, could ever possibly disagree with an iota of your so-called wisdom. You weren't ditched because your enemies complained about your inability to separate your personal fee wings from, well, anything. You were ditched because you are, in the technical vernacular, fucking crazier than a shithouse rat gone off his Thorazine. You should be put away until the moon turns into cheese. The point is, I'm not anonymous because I'm a coward. Oh, far from it. I'm anonymous because you are insane. In The Dark Knight Rises, Batman tells John Blake to wear a mask when working alone. Blake says he's not afraid, and Batman tells him, the mask is not for you, it's to protect the people you care about. But I'm sure I don't have anything to worry about. There's a lady in Dallas, Texas who assured me you never go after families. And another in Arizona. A mail-order bride in Virginia. Another who moved from Maryland to West Virginia. 2 or 3 other families in Illinois and 1 in Alabama. Huh? All of whom did nothing worthy of finding themselves in your crosshairs except be married to or be children of people who just happened to piss you off a little. I saw those things happen, you padded room craving sack of raw sewage, and I have decided 2 things. 1, that I was going to abuse you like you hadn't experienced since your Navy days, and 2, that if I have anything to say about it, you will never know who I am. Cowardly? Not at all. Simply, as I said long ago, smarter than you. Cowardly? Oh, that was from the previous. All right. And possibly a little bit more crazy than you want to deal with. Maybe, certainly not Stacey McCain crazy, but enough to get the job done. Are you a gambling man? You ever play the shell game on a street corner in a big city like Balmer? And say, do you recall the first time you thought you doxed me? On June 10th, I was Lynn Thomas. You were sure of it. Then in August, I was Patrick Grady. You were sure of it. Proved it beyond the shadow of a doubt, you did. Oh, how we laughed at your humiliation then. You know how it goes in Con Man 101, don't you? Tell the mark the lies he wants to hear. You must have heard them in the Navy, too. Of course, I'll still respect you in the morning. I promise to pull out, baby. Don't worry, it tastes just like a milkshake. You were probably very young and impressionable then, not the I had sex on stage in public, hoity-toity, cosmopolitan, sophisticate that you are today. You should have learned your lesson. But some people are just thick-headed idiots. You sure drank my milkshake that day. You said so yourself. Was it as tasty as you thought? Better going down or coming back up? That was a good day at the PayPal tip jar. And then there was last week when I was Shaka 49 or Eric or Mr. Schultz from St. Louis, whom you didn't really fail dox because you never gave his name, right, you bleeding goatsy boy? Do not Google that one. One warning to be taken absolutely seriously. You were sure of it. So who am I today, Mr. Wizard? Which shell is my pea under now? Con Man 101. It's where it always is. Hidden in my palm. Magic. And then another quote from me. I encourage whoever it is to continue to do so, and I hope your inboxes are filled with people giving you back what you dish out. Oh, sure, why not? I don't have any problem whatsoever trashing comments that have nothing to do with me. Untouchable fictional zombie blogger, remember? Keep that crendler clean for when the creepy cabin boy comes to kiss it or something. Also, smarter than you. Plus, as an added bonus, fuck you. And it's not like Grady will ever see them either. And sorry to tell you this, but your mystery pals need to work a lot harder to come anywhere close to filling my inbox with comments. When they start approaching a rate of 1 per day, then I'll think about getting excited enough to be bored. Certainly, once a day in my inbox isn't even a tenth of the frequency that communications were flowing through your outbox back when you were the shipboard mailbox, right, Sailor Moon? Another quote from me. But it ain't me. I just don't have time for you and your junior high school bullshit. I'm busy. I really don't care if it's you or not. What I care about is there fun to be had? And can I use it to make you dance? Yes, I can. anytime I want because I have the playbook and smarter than you. Of course, you don't have time for junior high school bullshit. You're too busy. Too busy calling out people who view your worthless LinkedIn profile for trolls. Very mature. Gosh, if you only knew who I really was, then your unreasonably expensive premium LinkedIn membership. A pauper's lawsuit? Really? God, but you're a stupid son of a bitch. You'd be able to tell when I'm viewing your profile, too. Oopsie poopsie. Was that a breadcrumb? Or was it Con Man 101? And certainly too busy to waste time writing little I got the last word I win fantasies that you know I'm going to savage just because it makes me smile. And then another quote from me. And besides, if I want to attack you, I will do it with my real name out in front where you can see. And then I wrote if instead of it. I will not correct the misspellings of the master writer of 30 years' experience and half that many accumulated unit sales, but I will most surely point out and mock the great one's mistake. If want to attack me, here's what you do, you big, brave misogynist. You'll call my wife a whore or Photoshop her into a giant cock head or post pictures of her watching a hockey game and tell people she's in fear of her husband. Because you're direct and upfront like that, you pale and squirming maggot. That reminds me, I've been meaning to ask, does the Mrs. P standing up? Because somebody has to do it at your house and it's obviously not you. I must really fry the few brain cells you have left to be not able to come at me like that. I'd almost feel sorry for you, except never in a billion fucking years would I feel sorry for you. Nope, you can't do that, because I don't even have a wife, or kids, or a girlfriend, or a boyfriend, or a husband. I am a fictional zombie. Also, just not because it bears repeating, but because it rolls right off the tongue, smarter than you. And then another quote from me. If you had even a little crop of peach fuzz on your ass, you would allow me to comment on your site, and I could deal with you there. But you don't, because you're a coward. Oh, the most hilarious thing about this is that you so clearly intended it to be a brows-down, scowling serious here. You can tell because of your reference to ass. You were once more than welcome to comment and humiliate yourself at Thinking Man Zombie. Oh, your self-immolations were marvelous entertainments. That time you came into my blog and demanded I not respond to your comments in my blog. Honestly, I had days of spontaneous laughing fits on that. John Hogue bought me many lunches via PayPal on that episode alone. Some of your handlers hit the tip jar on that as well. Maybe one of your kids, too. I can't remember. Then came the day, June 19th, 2014, as I recall. You just had your petition for a writ of certiorari denied by the Maryland Court of Appeals. I'm sure you don't remember it because fail, but Chumley. The internet is forever. Obviously hurt and confused, you tweeted up this gut-bursting burst of insanity, which I can't see, which in turn inspired me to reimagine the lyrics to a Broadway classic. It was there, you great mendacious pig-faced Satan, that you vomited up the sentiment that you had never wrongly doxed anyone. To maintain order and put off chaos of entropy, I did not ban you. I restricted you, pending an answer to a question to this prima facie falsehood that you claimed as fact. Had you answered the question, you might still have privileges this day. where I could be humiliating you on a much deeper and personal level with much greater frequency. But you, in your dishonor, with the true yellow cowardice of the pathological liar, took to the hills, whining all the way into the wilderness about the unfairness of being held to account for your obvious bullshit, the very sand that you were pounding into your own delicate vagina. Well, too bad, you candy-ass, jelly-gut crybaby. You had your chance, and more than enough time to make it right. So again, fuck you. And then fuck you some more, you lying, cowardly drip stain. And then a quote from me. And I'm done wasting my time on shivering, pee-squirting cowards. Why tell people you're going away when all they're going to do is mock you like the dozen times you did it before? If you try to go out in a self-destructive blaze of glory like this, it's just another opportunity for me and my friends to point, laugh, and piss on you as you go. And I have a huge, thirsty bladder when this kind of fun wanders by. Another lesson you need to learn. Don't go away mad. Just go away. Another quote from me. Yeah, you think you're king turd of the shit pile, and that's fine. I don't care. Your mindless taunting does not bother me. You're goddamn right I am. And as long as you remember that, your place is buried deep at the bottom of the said shit pile, crushed into indistinctness by the weight of all above you, quiet and unnoticed, you'll be fine. And I'm glad my taunts don't bother you. It gives me warm tingles all over to know that I no longer bother you, and that you have given away your computer, and that you will no longer attempt to climb up from your deserved place at the bottom of the stinking shithole, where you've spent your entire miserable existence trying to convince someone, anyone, anywhere, that you were ever anything more than an insignificant grain husk in a useless piece of chicken shit used to fertilize the feed corn that slops the pigs that make my tasty breakfast bacon to match wits, insults, and or vulgarities with me. In the land of locked doors, the man with the key is king, and honey, you should see me in a crown. This is your very last word on the subject, right? You've given up your computer and your obsession with all things Hogue, Heather, and Krendler, antagonists at large. You'll never even see this epic smoke job I'm laying on you right now, will you? Well, good for you. Perhaps you'll finally understand. And perhaps dancing monkeys will fly out of your butt. It might explain a couple of things. A quote from me. Just don't fuck with my stuff. If you fuck with my stuff, I promise you will have a most unhappy fall and winter. Of course, the big bad promise. Ooh. Never a threat, though. You don't do that. Because you lack the guts to follow through and get a result. Say, you never did say how it went with trying to get Patrick Grady fired from his new gig for my sustained and epic ownage and application of advanced butthurt to your existence. I forget, was that a promise too, or was that a threat? Or just the apophasis using your ass to write checks that your wife won't cash? That must not have turned out well, or we sure would have heard something about it by now. Yeah, loser? Let's make sure we have this fact clear. As long as you intend to exist on the internet, you must first do unto others as you would have done unto you. If you wish to answer a dog turd by crapping on the dinner table while someone is eating, I don't care who that someone is. I will make it my mission in life to visit triple upon you what you visit triple upon anyone. I will burn the heart out of you. Another quote from me. Live your life, tend to your family, stop risking your job, give Heather his walking papers, tell the rest of your good squad of pinheads fun's over. That's good advice. I'll take it when you do. But I don't know Chris Heather any more than you do. He's nothing more than your Kaiser Soze. Someday I'm sure he'll come sneaking up behind you like a bunkmate after lights out. And the fun will never be over. All I have is fun, and all I need is an excuse. Keep that in mind when selecting Team Hogue members as subjects for your next copy-paste instant non-seller. Another quote from me. I'm starting a business here. Fuck with the business, pay the price. What is it this time? No, wait, let me guess. Failed radio stations that jump service providers every time the trial period ends, playing horribly produced, terminally stupid and unfunny comedy mixed with music no one wants to hear, and commercials for products that no longer exist, selling no revenue-generating advertising, with all non-existent profits going to support Parkinson's disease advocacy groups that no sane person wants you anywhere near? Well, it's sure to work this time, if you wish real hard and clap your hands. Does that about sum up your business model? And who is your model customer, aside from elderly people who can't escape you in your rolly walker, that you can overpower with a cane and steal their pocket change? Who's actually out there willing to exchange their money for whatever value could be gained from the garbage you provide? I think I'd sooner pay someone to hack servers and destroy everything you've ever stored on any computer in the world than actually pay to consume it as entertainment. I tell you what, Cthulhu, here's a fair business proposition for you. If you provide me with your sales totals for all new original products you've put up for purchase in the 6-month period from April 1 to October 31st, 2014, I will pay you that amount plus $5 to not make anything new for the subsequent 6-month period. Less effort, more revenue for you. What downside? There, I've named a price. Now, can I fuck with your business? And by the way, so you will feel comfortable with it, this is not a negotiation either. And thus endeth the exhibit. And also thus endeth this episode of The Liberal Grouch. I'm going to record another one right away, but we'll get this one online. And in our next episode, I will read to you the entire complaint in the recently filed United States District Court for the District of Maryland Northern Division lawsuit between me and Patrick Grady. That'll be a treat that I think you'll enjoy, and it'll be coming up next on our next episode of The Liberal Grouch. For you see, this was just the appetizer. The main course is coming in the next podcast. I hope you're not too full. Oh, my. Cedric, talk to the people.
You have been listening to The Liberal Grouch podcast. The Liberal Grouch is hosted by Bill Schmalfelt through the services of Podomatic and can be heard at liberalgrouch.podomatic.com. You can reach the Grouch on Twitter at GrouchyOldLib. That's one word, at GrouchyOldLib. He also maintains a presence on Spreaker at www.spreaker.com/BloodyMike. So, until next time, stay safe, and remember,
It is later than
The Liberal Grouch is a copyright feature of Bill Schmalfelt, copyright 2015, all rights reserved.